Territorial jurisdiction. We did subject matter, we did personam, and we also touched on territorial. But what we want to get into now is how are the chapter 47, are we really, really, really convicted to our customs? And then right of conscience, which is really another word, or liberty of conscience for religious freedoms. So you might feel comfortable saying liberty of conscience because that's what religious freedom actually is. I want to get to, and I thought, Minka, that we would really explain and go over what the territory, because we were talking territorial jurisdiction. I just showed you how you speak on it, or speak, not tying yourselves to a citizenship with the address and so on. But this is what is stated in our text. Do you have a comment before I read that, before we read this 47 and break it down, or should we just start reading it and break it down?
I'm ready.
You ready? So everyone, in your text of Prophet Noah Lee, chapter 47, he actually explains what we call, he says, you will gain back your heritage and your seemingly, he doesn't say seemingly, he says lost estate. It's really yourself. But as far as geographical boundaries are concerned, check this out. He doesn't just give you the geographical boundaries where you can draw a map and figure that out because it's north, south, and central. He doesn't just do that. He gives you some history. So 47, the inhabitants of Africa. Because remember we told you this is Northwest Africa, Southwest Africa? It is. But let's go back. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. We call that Canada, right? Today. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. Now his father Ham and his family were the second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which
Mhm.
means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa. So what did he just say? Oh, you want to talk about Africa? By the way, Africa was actually Amexem. So he's given the whole history of it.
Mhm.
in fact, and I wanted to say, Ham and Cush, everybody says that's two different nationalities. No, one was the father and one was the son. And one went one way and one went the other. Why are we making that like it's some different custom or some different nationality? And the reason why the prophet said you are not Negro, colored, black, or Ethiopian is because of this right here. Ethiopia is what? A demarcation line.
It's been divided.
Yes, it's a dividing line. That's what it means. It's not a people. All right. You want to add anything to that, or I'll keep going?
No, I'm gonna
You
let
on
you.
it? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to get through it too. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast. Remember, this is Cush the son and Ham the father. It's not two
Mhm.
different nations. Besides, they're sons. They don't create nations. So the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In the later years, many of their brethren came from Asia and the Holy Lands and joined them. Now, the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit the Northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. So let me just clear something up. People say, oh, we had to have permission. If I was coming through your backyard, I would ask for permission also, right? Or as a courtesy. All right. That and people think it's something that it is not. Excuse me, did someone say something? Oh,
I said,
Somebody said
all right.
Islam.
just
Oh,
kind of go back on what
Islam.
you were saying as far as, about trying to separate Cush, from his father and not realizing, oh, they're two different nations. No, that takes me back to chapter 25 because
Yeah,
it's one
exactly.
father, one mother. So there's no division here. And when we disperse in the world, we can't forget our ties to each other, and that's what we find ourselves in today. We're
That's
chasing
that's
and
right.
doing, yeah. So I
All
yield the
right.
floor.
That's
Thank you.
peace.
Peace in there. That's peace. Thank you. That was perfectly injected. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So now, so now their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So, what does that mean? That means that where you see South America and Africa, they connect. If you look at the map, I wish I should have had the map up here. They connect as if they were once a puzzle piece because they were. And that is also why they found all of these what they call Olmec heads in the Mexico side here that looks more what they would call Africoid features. And that is a picture that I have in the book I wrote, one of my first books called Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry? And that book is in there, and that European son is Zacharias Stitchin standing there because they're making all these discoveries of this stuff. All right. So that right there explains to you why those heads are there and that this information being shared here is truth. So we need to know the truth about our customs and our history, which is another problem because we're supposed to have schools and all the temples. But now the River Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to what? To trade with the surrounding kingdoms. So we dredged up the River Nile. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaohs of Egypt in those ancient days for trade. And it extends eastward from the River Nile, westward across the Great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation also. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his powers extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. Now, I you go to look at the geographical boundaries, you're talking territory, and then you find a whole history that puts everything in order for you. That's what we ought to be dealing with. And so I say this: there is but one temple in the universe, and that is the body of man. Actually, I should have said this. I'm gonna go back to that, Miz. I know he there because he literally took this photograph. So hold on, Miz, because I want to also share this. I told you all to read The Moor, the Temple, and Membership by Sheikh Mika, who's right here with us today and been sharing information for the past 2-3 weeks at least as we do application of the law. So Islam, peace and love is how he starts this out. This brief is in regards to the. You don't mind me reading it, do you, Mink, or do you want to read it?
It's all right. So
I'm only going to read the first half of it, first part of it, all right?
Mhm.
Then we can go into it. Islam, peace and love. This brief is in regards to the many inquiries and or statements in reference to temple membership. Many grand sheiks and members of the Moorish holy temples of science and Moorish science temples are implying that in order to be a true Moor, you must be a part of the Moorish science temple or Moorish holy temple of science. Now let me stop right here. I just read you the history right out of the prophet's work about how we were always Moors and how that came about. So okay, let's get to thinking. So this statement and statements such as this one are misleading to the people and must be cleared up. First and foremost, I would like, this is Minkus talking here, like to identify clearly what a temple is. Most people's concept of a temple is only a building that is made of stones, woods, etc., wherein one may enter, when in fact this is far from the case, because the definition of a temple is as follows: the space on either side of the head of man and some other mammals, and in some other mammals, the back of their eye and their forehead above the zygomatic arch and behind the ear. An edifice dedicated to the worship of a deity and anciently usually regarded as a residing place for the deity, whose presence was symbolized by a statue or some other token. Any place in which the divine presence usually resides. And with that, Ms. Raheem went to the Library of Congress and literally took this picture. Of course, it's way up high. And if you, I trust you can see it, you can plus up. It says there is but one temple in the universe, and that is the body of man. Now, I'm done. This is all I just wanted to put together for us to begin to realize how much we must respect and convict ourselves to our liberty of conscience. Now, Miss, I know this is your photo and you prize it, and then Minka, I know you might want to comment more on your article because I'm going to ask people if they are read it yet.
Peace and love. Islam Moors. Peace, love, and light. Brother
Peace to
Minka.
my comrade.
From back, from back when to now. I just want to say, first and foremost, thanks and acknowledgement to everybody tuned in and for the platform and this collaboration. Um, this, that image, is so important. And I just want to thank, all Moors that we've met throughout this journey as far back as we could go. Because I took this image when I had went on the equinox of 2018 with Set and Rod and the actual trip that was organized by the fam. And this spoke volumes because these are maxims that are actually applicable. So when it says there is but one temple in the universe, and that is the body of man, right? Like the body, even if we say it's so many levels to it, right? Even if we say man is mind, but the body of man, that's the only temple recognized in the universe on a universal philosophy type of level. And I look at that and I translate it to everything that's going on with the discord between those who are studied and those who are not studied, even when it comes to the lessons of Noble Drew Ali, because, we're supposed to be, according to the Circle 7, building a perfected temple of man, you know what I'm saying? And, through character, the 12-step ladder, etc. Like these are the things we're supposed to be perfecting. And there's a lot of us who are looking outside of self for the temple to save them when the first temple is self, right? And when we lose that, we lose our connection to everything, no matter who manifested it on an external level from an internal level. So the temple, first and foremost, remember, the Library of Congress is a place where there's many facts laid out, and I said this before, that if you go to the Library of Congress, Thomas Jefferson building, you're talking about what books are on record and what books are on file, and where's AA 222141 and all of this. If you get to even get to that and past this, you haven't really went to the Library of Congress. If you passed all of this to even get to ask for those records, it shows where our mentality is at. So I'm saying that because there's many more maxims, as it says in the Institutes of American Law by John Bouvier. The Institutes of American Law goes into the fact that there's been many nations that have been found without laws, codified, etc., but no nation has been found without maxims. Like this is no nation has been found to not have some sort of maxims, and that's why they're so important in law. So the first issue is self. When people say you're supposed to be a part of the temple, this, that, and the third, first and foremost, you got to be connected to self to even understand, you know, uh, why there's an external MST of A. Because when you yourself do something or get into something, right, people are going to be looking at the individual, but then trying to group in it's crazy. I don't want to get too much into that, but it's like, the first and foremost thing is before we say, it's not that we should ever dismiss, right? Because there's things that have been said that we need to actually comprehend, even though we don't know by being told. But if we could comprehend, it will be a lot better. So it's like when it comes to the aspect of individuals, right? And people having to excuse me, somebody just contacted me in the private chat, but but anyway, when it comes to people as individuals, right? The question is the individual, not necessarily everything external to them. And what I mean by that is when it says the only temple in the universe is the body of man, and this is in the Library of Congress, we have to look at ourselves first and foremost before we talk about an external temple, because the lessons that Noble Drew Ali was given was for self-development as well as nation building and adding on and unity and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So there's a self-responsibility with each and every one of us before we claim any other external temple. Like we have to really understand that we are the temple. It starts with you, right? Because man manifests things. So mind manifests things. And it's not these things that mind manifests that manifest mind or man, right?
All right. Thank you for that. As we already know, that they call this discussion we're having about the first temple being the body, which is why we showed this picture. I mean, the first temple being what the MST of A's. This is why we showed this picture, because it's not. But they'll call you and us rogue Moors. Thanks, Karima, for that. Thanks for that comment.
I just wanted to say that I did highlight that this was taken in 2018 on the fall equinox. But the
Right.
article that you wrote, Brother Minka, was years before that. So I'm saying that to say that this is in harmony with what that article was saying, right? Because there's a lot to be broken down about this picture, but then we're going into the artistic mind, the perceptive mind, even the Aladdin lamps that's on the border of that, handcrafted. Like that's not just, a paper image. Like that is on a plaque that's carved and engraved. Like there's artwork and all of that that's in
And
the image that's
marble,
on the
and
screen
that's
in
marble.
marble, right? So what I'm saying is this is not a light statement. In the Library of Congress, So that being the case, we have to know that, because it says in the universe, and people may look at it like, well, that looks like a V, like they misspelled it, but we're talking about years before the English we've come to know. Yeah, the V
Yes.
was the U, the F was
Yes.
the S. You know what I mean? In Latin, or the transliterations, translations, etc. Right? So the only temple, and then Noble Drew Ali said he was a universal prophet, and his philosophy would be universal. I think that we need to take, some sort of individual accountability to really excel, to ascend to our higher self, not necessarily higher collective, but higher self. And and then
Right.
that is what the collective comes together on, in that sense, if that makes sense to y'all. You know what I
Yes, it
mean?
does, Islam. It does.
It's wrong.
You know, the divine law governs all events. Um, he he just set up the perfect alley oop for me, right? Now, you know, I speak about a lot of things, and those that know me, they know well when it comes to spirituality or divinity, um, you know, cultural expression, or what we call religion on a basic level. I go into that sometimes, and I like to be there. So in regards to what the mother read, what the sister inputted on earlier, and what the brother just dropped, I want to go back to our very own ecclesiastical customs that I spoke on earlier. And at the very beginning, it's the 101s, which is the 101 questions for Moorish children. And at the very beginning, Noble Drew Ali, for those that aren't familiar, does a question and answer segment. And the first question is, who made you? And the answer is Allah. And then the next question is, can we see him? And the answer is no. And then the next question is, where's the nearest place that we can meet him? And the answer is in the heart. So in conjunction with everything that's being demonstrated right now, and having you not separate yourself from yourself, so to speak, the very first lessons that the Prophet gave us had us centered on self improvement and centering on self. He brought us the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, yes. He brought us the Moorish Science Temple, yes. He brought us the Moorish Science Temple of America, yes. He brought us the Circle 7, Holy Quran, yes. He brought us the Moorish literature, yes. All things that to the naked eye or to the physical eyes would lead one to believe, not know, but believe or have faith, so, which is the first step, that there is something outside of you that you need to be connected to in order to be you. You got to dig down deeper to know that there isn't anything outside of you that can make you more you than you being you.
That's cool.
I
That's
don't get.
correct.
I mean, we said it. When it comes to the mosque. Now, I grew up, you know, it, going in and out of the mosque. I'm talking about Elijah Muhammad's mosque. That's what my father and my family was. And then later on, the younger generation, we took over and we got into the 5%, teachings and etc. The one thing that I will give that teaching is that they have you focus on you. Man and the law are one. Peace, God. Your God, this, your God, that. Like self accountability, responsibility for what you do or don't do. How to add on with another or with others to take your place in the universe and fill out a space for a specific purpose. But you got to get right with you first before you could go to the class or to the parliament and talk about adding on. So I really want that to be very clear because we say it all the time, especially with those of us who have those vindictive family members who may be a part of a mosque or it's usually a church. We'll go ahead and not sugarcoat it. They try to condemn you because you're not a part of the church or because you didn't go to church this Sunday or because I ain't seen you in church in 3 months or because you only go to church on Easter. Well, we got it coming up. Now, I only see you in church on Easter. So does that make me any less of a parishioner or a Christian than you because you here every week? Like, like is the church the building or is the church the people? And if the church is the people, is the church the people individually that got together collectively with one mind and one spirit in common, or is it not? Like, does the church make the people, or do the people make the church? And if we're agreeing that the people make the church, do the people make the church collectively? Like, just Mother Ross, the brother Miz, myself, brother Cujo, whoever else is within our inner cipher. Did we have to come collectively together with our own measures to be the team that we are? Or did we just come together, you know what I mean? Like, formed like that. Everybody had to come with their own individual measure of
Yeah.
self.
Yeah, that's in the chat. That's in the circle 7 too. Your measure.
That's what's up. I'm about to go there. Now, we got chapter 3 of the Quran. It's called the Unity of Life. For those who aren't familiar with the Quran, for those who are, I don't want to be redundant. However, we do know that when we're teaching, we must be clear and make sure that everybody has an understanding of what's being taught. So we can't assume that everybody knows about the Quran. So pardon me if I specify at times, but it's chapter 3, and it's ayat 14. Pardon me. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you well have studied them, and then would ask me what to study next, I will reply yourselves. This is a part of the lessons that Noble Drali gave to us. He's constantly telling you to study yourself, to improve thyself, to know thyself. I'm gonna go down. I think there's 2 more, and then I'll move out of the way if somebody wants to comment or question. Now, we move down, and it says, hold on, 15. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away, and he who knows his higher self knows Allah. knows well the things that cannot pass away. 21. Very, very key, very, very important. The only devil from which men must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man would find his devil, he must look within. Here we go, back to self again. Self-reflection. Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. His name is self. So not only did Noble Jali tell us to focus on self, he also let us know that there's on a surface level what we would call a positive and a negative, or an up and a down, or whatever term you want to use to emphasize or illustrate that there are polar opposites within our spirit that we must align properly in order to elevate as individuals. So you go, everybody's, man, the devil made me do this, or there ain't nothing but the devil, yeah, you're blaming other things other than you. Nah, Noble Ali took the veil off of that. We're not going to do that. Oh, why did this happen? Because, and again, I'm going to move out of the way, and then I'll come back. But before I go there, I'm going to pull up the verse. But there's also a demonstration where Noble Ali taught us that heaven and hell are states of mind. Again, self. Why did this happen? Oh, why did my car get a flat tire and my coffee was cold this morning and my daughter did this and my son won't act right and the school called and told me I had to come pick him up. Why is this happening to me? Because heaven and hell are states of mind. They're not places of meets and bounds. Back to self again. It's something that you're thinking about subconsciously. There's something that your energy is pulling to or towards subconsciously, or there's a lesson that you need to learn that you're ignoring and or being naive about and or being passive about that you're not learning. So you need to go through these things so that you can get the lesson out of them. It could be not being grateful. It could be not being humble. Whatever it is, only you know that because you know you. So I just want to, add that on, and then I'll move out of the way.
Well, you okay, all right. Well, look, this is kind of fun. This must be the energy because look, we just had Circle 7 Sunday class, and I think Jay is on the line, and it was chapter 3, and it was absolutely awesome. And that's because of the way in which the sister actually presents it. And I know a lot of people on this line was actually in that class. So it's like bringing home again, or reiterating that it's about self because the prophet came to teach us to be ourselves. And so it's it's kind of like he said this was divine and national, and of course we've missed the divine. And as I said earlier, a lot of people when they hear the word religion, they skirt away from it because of what they don't know what it really is. It's really liberty of conscience. And huh?
No, I said actual facts. Mm-hmm.
Actual facts. That's right. It's a liberty of conscience, and we've already said con is with, and science is science, or sense is science. So this is a double whammy on unity, and that chapter is called the
And
unity, right? What is it?
Yes.
Right, which is what we missed.
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
if I could just add on this piece, the fact that that statement said in the Library of Congress, there's only but one temple in the universe, and that's the body of man. I think to put that in the earthly perspective, because that's a divine and national statement. And I say that
Mm.
it's a divine and national statement because there's a lot of misconceptions out here these days that you can't be a Moor unless you're a part of the Moor Science Temple of America. And that is not the truth. And that's no
No.
slight on the Moor Science Temple of America. But what's really
Well,
recognized, even if we're talking from a lawful perspective, a legal perspective, or whatever, a
tell you what.
universal temple. And the
Wait,
Prophet Noble Drew Ali was universal. And what I'm saying is that for those who may be listening for the earthly perception on this or have misunderstandings, please understand, overstand, and understand that you are who you are, whether you're in the temple or not, because in law and in lawful references and sources, you yourself are recognized as the temple. Not like
Yes.
real talk. That's real talk. Those are facts.
now to go back to what the brother was saying, and it's going to tie it all back again. I study is all I can think of right now. So the more you're hearing it, the more I'm hearing it, because the more we all need to hear it, because the more we need to exercise it. The mother read chapter 47. The sister dropped in the part of chapter 25. The brother just brought the measure of what the Library of Congress already knows and understands that a temple is. And then we're drawing on the measure of being a more so-called or not so-called because you're not in the temple. So
Mm-hmm.
chapter 47, I believe the last two ayats speak about no one being able to change the decent nature of,
Yeah.
unless their power extends beyond the great universal God Allah, right?
Yes.
It doesn't say no one can change the descent nature if you don't have no proclamation papers. It doesn't say that it doesn't work if you don't have a declaration on file. It doesn't say it doesn't work if you don't have a nationality card. It doesn't say it doesn't work if you're not a subscribed member of a temple. It says it cannot be changed unless the power extends beyond the universal great God Allah.
Mm-hmm.
This still goes back to being yourself. That paperwork does not make you yourself. That nationality card does not make you yourself. Any proclamation, declaration does not make you no more of yourself today than it did yesterday, unless you are activating those principles within that out in society as a reflection of that. That is a representation and or a documentation and or a brief describing your position when you encounter other people, but it doesn't make you any less or more of a more than you were at birth. It's written in the law. We can't. I have this dialogue with grand sheiks all the time, and I ask them if their power extends beyond the great universal God. Oh no, the Quran says nobody. Okay, so why are you telling people that they're not Moors if they're not part of the temple? Paperwork doesn't even make you that. Nationality cards don't make you that. So how can the temple make you that?
Well, they say it's a cold world, but we got a cold flame, my man. And nobody's fighting, cause nobody knows what to say. You gotta save your soul, save your soul. Yes, all of the heroes have been killed. or betrayed. But the people know it's winter. No jobs, no justice, no peace. We gotta find a release. Well, if it were to rain now, would we get a cleansing? America is strange. We keep pretending that it's not winter. We aren't sinners. There's no ending. We don't make a mess and we're merely just defending. Let's get to mending. The peace sign vanished in our dreams, so it seems in how we ascending. We must crack the concrete and get organic with the soil. Turn turmoil into graciousness. Compost is waste. Just get real with ourselves. Money won't do it. We gotta deal with ourselves. Try and help a friend, save your soul, go within, show for them an opening, crawling, it's all and we're all uno. I ain't kicking nothing you know, it's weighing on my mind, something heavy like a sumo. I'm ready and I'm able to turn tables, just begin to radiate light from my now it's a winter, and we're a fuck pleasing. Winter in America, and now it's a healing. Winter in America, and nobody's fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. You gotta save your soul, save your soul.